Yeah.
Well, my name is Bill McDaniel, and I, in 1983, had the opportunity to work with Charles Story and this group to kind of create this whole thing called Parent Support Group. And to me, it was created because there was a big void with corporate America actually knowing too much about parents. Uh, the key thing that got me started, and I'll make it short, at a banquet one night, and a parent and a corporate guy said, "I wonder where that young man came from. He is so smart." And I informed him that his daddy was smart, his granddaddy was smart. And it just set me ablaze that these folks that our kids were going into this world had no idea where they was coming from. And it was our responsibility to make it happen so that they would know that Johnny was granddaddy, Papa Bill's, great great grandson. And you had smart people in the family for years. That was my, initial fire to get something started as across this corporate community.
I'm Fannie Holmes, and I got started with INROADS because my daughter, Michelle, got internship. And then I met Bill McDaniel, who gave us the idea of Parent Support Group. And I'll tell you, the whole purpose of the Parent Support Group to me was to give support back to our sons and daughters. And here my daughter was a junior in high school, barely driving. So she had no way to get to the various meetings unless I took her. And whatever my daughter was involved in, or my children involved in, mommy is going to be there too. So I just got that passion, and then I kept it because there are other sons and daughters out there who needed that kind of guidance as Bill and Elaine and McDuffie gave over the years. So that's my whole part with INROADS, and ditto back on what Bill just said.
Elaine loved it, and I got involved like Fannie through my daughter getting involved in INROADS. And naturally, being a parent, I wanted to make sure what this was all about. So I started going to the meetings, and Bill just, inspired all of us to come in and get involved in this. And truly say that now my daughter, I think she maybe wasn't done well, but because of INROADS, she has done exceptionally. And my son also got involved in it. And I can say yes for my son, because I think it brought him to a new understanding, because, your parents can tell you you can do this and do that, but when somebody on the outside is saying that you can, it just made a big difference in him. And I just want to say it has been a wonderful thing for all of our children as we got involved in this as parents, and they saw how involved we were with it. And I think it helped them along also, and also helping INROADS Inc. also.
Yes, I am James M. McDuffie. I am involved with the Parent Support Group by virtue of what all you've heard. It's like Brian's doing like things, and Bill, as our founder, fearless leader, has a position of if he's working, everybody's working. So if you're around Bill, you will be involved and engaged. And as Bill and everybody's pointed out, time is very precious. And I'd like to urge you to consider question one: what was INROADS Parent Support Group? Wrong tense. It is. We exist by virtue as you look around this group. I would urge you to consider, because she did reference one of our projects. Lo and behold, there it is. It's our cookbook, one of our projects. And it gives you a very nice history talking about founding. And it also gives you, I'm sure Bill's going to cover all of those, the projects that we were involved in, the things that we accomplished. So again, for me, the involvement comes by virtue of, as they said, you got my child, you got me.
We were trying to, well, not trying, we did it. And word is trying, it's not a good word. We did it. We came down to be starting off supporting our children. And it really supported INROADS Inc. Because we gave so much to them. And I know Mercedes probably sent this to you as well, but we pledged and gave and fulfilled this pledge of $250,000 to INROADS Inc. And we did this. our essay that we had that was going, we gave $12,000 annually to our children. So that, in essence, that also helped INROADS Inc. of our children getting scholarships to go on for their education. So that's so many more things that I could just really go into, but we just don't have the time to do it, and talk about the passion of INROADS and how it helped our children as well as INROADS Inc. And as far as the cookbook was concerned, we got a chance to see recipes from all over, all kinds of recipes, Mexican, whatever, and share those things. So it brought a lot of togetherness and unity together with that, especially with that cookbook and the newsletter.
Yes. So much so until probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the parents here in Nashville said, Elaine, we missed the parent support group. So we still have the parent support group here in Nashville. We meet once a quarter. Just to talk about things and, just a fellowship.
But some of the things that we actually accomplished, let me just read them straight down here. Essay competition to encourage writing excellence, parent support group awards, INROADS interns, a total of 12, that was then. A safe haven to provide a home away from home for INROADS family members in a time of need. Parenting skills to assist parents in developing strong leadership and parenting skills. Care packages. Every intern receives a package filled with goodies, love, and cheer. Family Day, parent support group affiliates across the country host a picnic on the same day for interns, parents, staff, and sponsoring corporations and friends of INROADS. Scholarship program, interns are recognized for their scholastic abilities. Newsletter, INROADS Parents on the Move is a national publication for parents. It serves as a networking tool for parents across the country. Economic recycling, creation of a national directory of businesses owned by INROADS parents to foster an environment of economic independence and mutual support within the INROADS family. Now, so there are a number of things that we actually did, and that's history. So we, as you heard and testify the testimony, we still exist. So
yeah, exactly.
Presidents ought to be activated that.
Bill, what you talk about, because that's really all our passion, but it's really one of your big passions, and that is our golf tournament that we had, the connection that golf tournament had.
Yes.
Let me give about 4 or 5 summaries of what they've been talking about. First thing, the parents group was a farm club for INROADS. And just like in sports, you have a farm club where they, as parents learned about INROADS, they made sure that their next child was sitting on the bench ready to go to INROADS. So it was a farm club. I mean, we was there to help supply INROADS with good talent over the years. Parent training. We had workshops where parents were developing skills on how to parent corporate kids. We had parents on, sitting around the table with developing socialization skills among parents. Safe Haven program. Safe Haven program was Fanny's Baby. That's where a parent was in Boston and the kid was in Nashville, and the girl especially needed a ride to the airport. Then the parent picked up the phone, called Fanny. Fanny got in the car and went over to the dorm, picked the baby up and took it to the airport. That's where it really got to be deep in the family relationship. The next piece was developing corporate skills. I found out a long time ago, you moved up to corporate America, not necessarily because of your ability or talent, it's who you know. So we created a national golf outing so that kids could get out on there, learn how to play golf. We moved away from the old cocktail socialization to, kind of like golf and tennis and stuff. And if the president of the company called Bill McDaniel and said, hey, Bill, come on, go play golf with me. And I went out there and I knocked in a birdie to make the president win the golf tournament. Next week, Bill McDaniel was called again, and I got a chance to meet McDuffie mentioned a few minutes ago about the economic development piece. That was a heart. If we would pull that out into its full fruition, we would be buying and trading from parents all over the United States today. I might have a suit shop in New York. Bill need a suit. I call a parent, Bill, I'm 42.8, send me a suit. A car in Mississippi. So we had an awful good opportunity to, and that was McDuffie's dream. So that was kind of a capture of what the parents was focused on among the many other things that we had. The meetings, my wife still knows a lady in Phoenix, Arizona, a Mexican lady that fixed her fingernails and her hair when we was out there in a meeting. And those are the kind of relationships we developed across the country. And it's really so sad that today, when I looked on the website for INROADS, there was no mention of this great effort that Charles Story, Mercedes Lyden, Pat Merritt, and that gang put together back in 1983. So that's my 2
Can I just
cents.
dovetail Bill on that? See, he left out, he did say that we were a farm team, literally and figuratively, because Bill took us down on the farm. And we go down on the farm and we had a large time. Can I
Yes.
help it if I can't drive a tractor? So I was growing and developing too. So again, as you heard him talk about the networks, the relationships that you create from one end of the country to the other. So people were the network of sharing common like-mindedness kinds of things, and we had fun and have fun along the way. So it's just not labor intensive, although if Bill is working, everybody else working.
Yes.
And another good piece on that is that we would have our family picnics, and we would bring in the intern, corporate person, INROADS Inc., and all of us would just fellowship at that big family picnic. So that was another thing that was, fellowship time and
Brought us
getting to know
together.
each other other than just in the office. It was just really a sight to see. And we would have aprons made, and Bill would, do all the cooking, and Elaine would make all the aprons, and I could do all the fellowship and talking to people. So anyway, but it was just a great big family gathering with the corporate companies, INROADS Inc., the interns, and the parents.
Yes.
Parents made it unique
Yes.
and it made it successful. Think of one meeting in Chicago was a major national meeting of INROAD, and the time got real short, and it's trying to crunch things in. We had probably, I don't know, maybe 120, 200 parents at that
Yes,
meeting,
yes.
and a guy who I remember was trying to crunch the schedule. And I never will forget a guy who was real strong in INROADS, Brunson Ingram. We was talking and they were saying, well, you think we might not could cut out the parent spot in the program? And Brunson Ingram said, no, we're not going to cut out the parent spot. So we had all of the parents to stand. And it was really impressive because sometime that corporate world that we talk about had met, a parent with a third grade education. And that third grade education parent had not met Mr. Corporate America. So we were able to blend that section and make it important to the whole family. And now when you see kids who are successful, you hear parents bragging like Elaine and family and McDuffie. You got hundreds and hundreds of those parents across the United States. And right now they don't brag as strong as we did because we was there, but they're still bragging about I met a guy yesterday, Mr. Barnes, Clyde Barnes, and we started talking about it. And I had on an old INROADS shirt. And he said, Mr. Bell, I was in INROADS in 1985 or something like that. So we go along and brought a lot of history from a parent's perspective to this venue. And I personally think that the guys that I remember was proud of it, like a Frank Carr. I mean, these are guys that was back there with us, Charles Story and Mercedes Lila. And I want to take this minute to thank her for just insisting that you do the 30-minute presentation this morning, because I think you learn a lot, and you'll be prouder than you were about inroads in your bank position. And so there were some people that really worked hard to make this work.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you another good thing about that. I don't know whether this is part of the question or not, but it's just something I just got to get out. But my daughter, Michelle, was involved in inroads, but I have two other children. And she would come in and really teach them things that inroad had taught her. So they made, really well, I think, because of the relationship that Michelle had with inroads. In return, they received some of the benefits as well. And now my grandbabies are doing the same thing. It's a cycle.
Right.
So, and then something about inroads, I don't know, you can see a person or a young man in particular standing out. You see that person, that young man is inroads. And would come back, he would be inroads. They just stand out. It's just something about that uniqueness that they had acquired through the inroads process.
And a quick, let me just, I got to cap your voice, and I must say, part of the development also is as inroads moved, as corporate America downsized, a lot of our young people lost their positions. Well, now I make sure I give me some chicken and waffles. Well, one of our young interns had to change and leave corporate America, but he has some skills and another kind of joy. So he created his own business and now has several iterations of that restaurant. Come to Durham, North Carolina, and get you some chicken and waffles. The other thing, again, my child changed a couple of them. One studied to be an engineer, graduated doing fine, but he's a people person. He's kind of like dad, like talk. So he now is a part of the bank, U.S. Bank here, Durham, North Carolina. He covers Eastern Seaboard. So when we start bragging about our children, that's the network that's out there that we can still build and mold and hold, where we are the shakers and the movers of this economy. And when you come to Durham too, make sure you get your teeth done. The other child's a dentist doing their own thing. Chemistry was fine, but you find where you are. Inroads does that. You get encouragement, not just from, dad is crazy. Well, there are other people share that same position, and they hear you, and they can take it off the back burner and be reminded, perhaps the old guy does make some sense, and other people say it, and that reinforces what the parents say. So there are all kinds of intangibles that are there as part of the parent support group, not just making corporate America stronger, but it makes this country and the world a better place. So if you look out and round us all up, no telling where we are. So the password gets to be inroad. Brother Bill, I'm sorry, I took 3 minutes to do that.
That is true, inroads, yes.
One last thing about McDuffie before we leave him. You listen to McDuffie right now. McDuffie speaks Spanish fluently. And when we used to go into the Western states, where we had to have the bilingualness among the parents, McDuffie don't sound like much, but he would make those Hispanic community just feel wonderful, because big, tall, black guy of speaking Spanish. Back then, it was major, and these are some of the talents that we had in the group.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Brother Bill, I really do, but you're right, we are a multifaceted, lingual, color, racial, ethnic, whatever it is. That's what the parent support, and we're growing. We do exist. So again, to reference, past tense was, I understand if you pick a particular time, but we do exist. And we'll, as long as I'm on the planet, see these 3 people over there, My people, parent support group is alive and well, and we're getting close to the end of time, Brother Bill. I'm done. Can I add a quick bit? Brother Bill was parent support group. We came with our children. Our children are now parents. So it's a matter of reaching and bringing them back in as parents, as they have children, because we came in, taught the new parents some things. Now our children can pass it on. So if there is a tradition, a culture, a continuation of the parent support group, I think we will be all right.
And I just want to say that just want to make sure that none of this is lost. And
Yes.
I heard Bill say about looking out and didn't see any history or even mention of INROADS Inc. INROADS Parent Support Group. And I did that. I checked out and Googled and everywhere, and I saw nothing. And all of this contribution that the Parent Support Group made, at least we ought to be mentioned in INROADS Inc., but there's nothing. So with that much impact that the Parent Support Group had and still having on INROADS itself, certainly should be mentioned. Certainly this is real history, and we should not deny that from being out front, and our children, their children can go back and see what and how this all got started. And we have documentation, we got proof of everything we've said. We got cookbooks, we got newsletters, we got scrapbooks, we have plaques and just golf pictures, just all kinds of things that we have in our possession, because Mercedes has all of it at her house right now, but we have all of that information. So it's disturbing me that our history seems to be denied. And that's the part I want to make sure that's corrected.
And I agree with Fanny on that, because we wasn't just the parents that took them and dropped them off. We got involved. We got to working. We got building money. We got building community and relationships. So we were active, not just running, drive them to the where they have to go and coming back home. We got completely involved in that. And because of that, we don't want to lose that, because parents are important, because a lot of times they couldn't even get where they were going because some of them couldn't even drive. But we were committed to this being a successful program, and the parent support group being a big part of that success.
That's true. Let me ask Brother Bill to wrap us up with that. And you can get your cookbook. Y'all see that? There's some 40 plus affiliates across the country that Bill referenced, not the 12, 13, or 20, a whole batch of them. It's all documented.
Yes,
With that said, I'm going to get it because, bro, everybody got to go. So, Brother Bill, would you pass it or not?
If this impact the way you do things from now on, in terms of knowing that there was a group of people who really care. And with all the stuff that's going on today, parent groups are needed around the country, not only for INROADS, but for all kinds of stuff. So for me, I just hope that you see the sincerity in this and will make sure that Fanny's dream, that somewhere back on the website, it'll pop up again. So when people look at the history of INROADS, they'll see our little dent into it and making it a stronger program. Had a guy from Australia to come to Nashville to talk about the impact that they was trying to make with INROADS in Australia, and to see how parents could be involved in it.